I'm fully aware of the social climate that's around us. I acknowledge that it exists. I also know that whatever happens to me, my story will get told because it ultimately is going to be starting with, I told you so. Hello all, it's Taylor. Welcome to Dwell On It. I hope everyone's had a great week since the last episode got uploaded. If you're new here, Dwell On It is a series where I answer your questions about my lived experience as a trans woman. Send your questions my way. I put them in a grab bag. I answer the questions as they come out of the grab bag randomly. Lather, rinse, repeat. It's been a great series so far, so if you're new, welcome. Please subscribe. Hit like to everybody who enjoys the content. Please share the content as well. I've mentioned it in the previous episodes too. Since I did grab the grab bag, I'd like to draw attention to two fundraisers that I've got in the description of this video. Both have goals of $1,411 for each. One is for RunForWomen, which supports women's mental health and mental health awareness, and the other supports Walk for MD, which is addressing muscular dystrophy and also pretty much over 160 neuromuscular disorders. Canadians need your help. Any dollar amount helps. You do get a tax receipt with any online donation, so check the links in the description. Please contribute as you see fit. Otherwise, let's get into the grab bag while we're here and see what we can come up with today. What is the best way you could advise a baby trans like me to spend my time? Oh man, okay. Full transparency, there were a lot of cuts me trying to start this answer because I'm like, Realistically, when I came to think of an answer that makes the most sense, spend your time living authentically. I think honestly is the best way to put it. Whether baby trans, if it's being interpreted the same way that I understand it, for anyone unfamiliar, it's somebody who has their egg cracked, or they are new to the trans community, or they've recognized that they are trans. They're starting to venture down that path of their life. The interpretation of baby trans is somebody who is new to the community. Honestly, not a huge fan of the term, so I'm being mindful about just repeating the message. Be authentic. Spend your time going after what it is that you want to do or learn or be. If you have a career that you want to go after, continue going after that career. If there are things about the trans community that you want to learn or participate in, do those. You wrote a question to me. That's a fantastic example where you want to accept and embrace this part of your life. The best way that I could advise you spend this time is acknowledging that you are 100% in control of this exact second right now. And so own it for what it is. It's yours. You don't know what the next second will be. I've spoken about it before. This exact second, this nanosecond is the only second in your life that you have 100% control of. So own it. It's yours. Whether it's somebody who has acknowledged that they're trans years ago and have, lived their authentic lives for years, if not decades, whether it's somebody who recognized only within the past few weeks that they are trans, anywhere in between, and frankly, it doesn't even matter if you're trans or not. This second is yours. Spend your time doing what feels best for you. Remember that when it comes to being trans isn't a category that's going to push you exclusively down a certain path of life. Being trans is an element of who you are. Your identity, for sure, is a trans individual. And don't get me wrong, when it comes to being prejudiced against or stereotyped, those will happen. When it comes to how to spend your time, it's your time. Do what you feel best with. If I could bring this question into my own life, and if I was able to put this question into place when I knew that I was in a place different than where I was being expected to be, I would have strongly advised myself to find the courage to speak on it. I knew from my earliest memories that the boxes that I continued to get put in did not represent me. I did my best to fit in those boxes, but every box felt uncomfortable. Every box felt out of place, or every box didn't feel complete. I was born in 1981, so let's say 1985, 1986, 1987. Information was really different at that time, let alone an understanding of trans individuals. If I was able to take that life and just plunk it into today's universe, again, also acknowledging age, right? It's tough to articulate everything that is important to you when you're 5 or 6 or 4 or whatever, but like excluding those little parameters, which are big parameters, to find the courage then and there and own it, to do everything that I can to not necessarily resist, but announce that what is being expected of me is not who I am. Those types of things. I struggled living my life because I spent my life living everyone else's. So the easiest way to spend your time is to recognize it's your time, not everyone else's that you compel yourself to be part of. I hope that is helpful. Welcome to the community, and thank you for asking such an insightful and curious question. Complete this sentence. I wish I had someone with whom I could share. It's going to be a total change of attitude. So I was speaking about this with a friend not terribly long ago. I know as an individual that I am a rather unique person. As a trans individual, of course, very small percentage of the population in the first place. As an advocate with a personality type of an advocate, that again is a pretty small percentage of individuals out there. To kind of like build a little context on that with very unscientific numbers, but let's run with me here. In 2018, Canada held a large-scale survey. 0.24% of respondents gave answers that identified themselves as transgender, which is about 75,000 Canadians, give or take, if that was to get expanded on. And an advocate's personality type, typically 1% of the population, at least in the Western world. So when you think about it, 0.0000024 times the amount of Canadians, that actually comes to about 750. I know I'm pretty unique, and I'm proud to be unique. And when it comes to the intensity and the ability for people to keep up and the people to share life, understanding, soul searching, be able to have those conversations that match values and so on, I've said numerous times, I love love. Call it on my wish list. You know, a partner who I love and a partner who loves me and who finally just, you know, be happy. A little house, white picket fence, nothing too much. Larger house if necessary, if it needs to accommodate a family. I am 40, so just acknowledge that, you know, there's a good chance that a partner in the future likely has children, and, you know, I'm more than welcome to accept them in my life and do the best that I can. But yeah, when it comes to having someone with whom I could share is just joy, right? Share life, right? It doesn't always need to be, you know, goods or assets or something like that, but something, you know, but someone to just be able to step away from the hustle and bustle and just share a moment. And sometimes joy doesn't always need to be wins. Sometimes joy is just like, hey, I thought about you today and you made me smile. You know, sometimes joy is like, you know what, can we just stop what we're doing and go to somewhere we enjoy? You know, let's go get ice cream, or let's treat ourselves because we deserve it, or hey, we've been overdue for something like this, so let's get that done, or something in your life happened and it brought me so much happiness, or something, right? To be able to share those authentically. I know I can absolutely speak that outward to many people, but to speak with someone on a heart to heart, to be able to be vulnerable, to be able to share that with someone who sees me as who I am instead of seeing me as the person who I tried to be for so long, and so on. It's those types of things. I don't know, I honestly don't know if I answered that question in the way that I'm trying to express it. It's something that I will long for until, you know, my last breath. I love love. I love being as vulnerable as I can be to people who I want to be vulnerable with, and I want to just be able to share special moments with that special person in that special way because they are unique and are worth that time, the effort, the energy, the passion, the interest, the care, love. I wish I had someone with whom I could share that type of love. I guess, yeah, to go full circle on that, I know I said joy. I may as well extend on it with the answer that probably everyone wants me to say. I wish I had someone with whom I could share love. Put it on the line, love. You matter. Love. I am grateful to be in a place in my life where I can now exist and understand and cope with every day as myself and not feel like somebody had to validate my worth. That used to be me in a past life. That I felt that I needed someone to love me so much so that when I came out to them, they still loved me so much that it didn't matter. And now it's the other way around. I don't care if you like me or not. It would just be great to close off those days with someone who has that same feeling that I have for them. I love waking up now. And honestly, at this point, I hate going to bed because I'm not done my work. At that point in my life, then I'll start loving going to bed too. I hope that's a little bit of a poetic answer to a rather inquisitive question. Thank you. What is the scariest part of being trans? I know I've answered something like that before, which at that time I know I said, I've answered something like that before, but both are different. At least for myself, the scariest part before I came out was feeling rejected, isolated, abandoned, etc., by everybody because I felt nobody would care. And not care as in like me, but like nobody would care. I disappeared from phone books. I disappeared from interest. I disappeared from existence for all intents and purposes. I would have just been completely ostracized and isolated. And you know what? That happened. So fuck it. That when that happens, you recognize how little value those individuals have for you when you have that little value to them. I've said many times before, I'm the same person that I've always been, but a billion times better now. I'm happy, I'm approachable, I'm confident, go on and on and on. I am the best version that I've ever been, and I sure as shit ain't done. So that's everyone else's loss, not my loss. When it came to the scariest part of being trans, after I got through that part, I know a lot of people would expect an answer along the lines of existing in society and, you know, all the things that are related to oppression, bigotry, transphobia, and those are incredibly valid fears. And it's frustrating, as a matter of fact, where so many people, you can't live your life in fear. Thank you for the position of privilege expressing how great life is. Thank you for that totally useless non-advice. The way I've articulated it before is I can be in my best state of mind. I could be having a perfect day. The day could not get better. I woke up, gave the love of my life a kiss on the forehead. I'd say go to work, but literally my work is like 40 feet away from the bed. So let's say kiss on the forehead, and I got to go to the post office, or I got to go to the pharmacy, or I got to go to the store or something really quick, or whatever it would be. And I'm in the best mood ever. I had a great workout. I had an awesome breakfast. I recorded a hell of an episode of Dwell On It. People are loving and liking and subscribing and sharing and all that other good stuff. All right, I'm having a great day, great day. Everything's a great day, great day, great day. And somebody stabs me. Because they're not having a great day. I can't allow myself to live with that maybe kind of what if happens, because there's a point where I can control everything fantastic about myself, but that doesn't control the emotions and the responses of other people. So yes, the fear of bigotry, the fear of oppression, the fear of violence, those are real things, and we can't dismiss them or ignore them or accept them. But I acknowledge them. I acknowledge that it's a reality. I acknowledge that the world is an unkind place. I also acknowledge that I have privilege much more than others in that sense. In, you know, some ways that people might not think about often. Full disclosure, hey, I'm white. I don't know if we notice. So I absolutely have privilege automatically by my skin color. Even though I am a trans woman, I absolutely carry privilege over people of color. So I do the best that I can to ensure that that is recognized when I'm advocating. So I already have that in terms of one less piece of hate that bigots carry. And then outside of vulnerable communities, I'm tall, I'm athletic, I'm 6'1". I'm taller than the average person. At 6'1", for starters. The average Canadian woman's height, 5'4". I'm taller than the average human in the world. I already have that edge as well, that if somebody ever wanted to do something violent, they really have to check within themselves how much they want to look up and do something about it. These are things that I carry as assets that I know help me in situations. So I don't carry as much fear or apprehension from being in public places. I do acknowledge that there's places and times to be in different areas. Way back when I spoke about how it's irresponsible for me to go for a walk at night because 6'1" and blonde, that doesn't change the fact that some potato head thinks they're going to be okay to try to take advantage of me at 8:30 at night if I chose to sit under a tree and do some coloring by the river. I'm fully aware of the social climate that's around us. I acknowledge that it exists. I also know that whatever happens to me, my story will get told because it ultimately is going to be starting with, I told you so. Those are fears. They're absolute fears, but I don't let them be terrors. Otherwise, the scariest part of being trans is actually the concept of not being allowed to be me. The idea of having medication removed from availability or my body rejecting it for whatever reason. If there was like a medical thing that came up that I can no longer undergo medical transition, I am who I am, and a medical transition helped me be at peace with myself. If that got taken away from me, that is terrifying. Everything else is a fact of life. The concept of that in terms of transition is absolutely terrifying. What's the worst thing you experience that you feel everyone else should go through too? I'm going to reframe this as, what is the worst thing you experience that you feel everyone who is not part of a vulnerable community should go through too? Violence by patriarchy and upheld by systemic oppression. For every single person out there who doesn't identify with a vulnerable community, who lives a high life, walking through privilege like it's nobody's business. How bad can life be because it's great from where I'm standing? Walk a mile, friends. walk a mile. Like I said, I'm gonna give that to be the answer because realistically, I'm not gonna announce things that I've experienced that are horrid to give an idea for other individuals to emulate and replicate those for other people who are part of vulnerable communities. Not gonna play that game. But if you're part of the patriarchy, seriously, live a little, try for the day. Is there anything about being trans that you can't get right? There's no right or wrong way to be trans. Best way to answer this question. There is no right or wrong way to be trans. You are valid. I am valid. No matter where you are in your journey, you are doing it. You acknowledge yourself. You respect yourself by representing yourself. And you represent yourself in how you feel most comfortable at the time you choose to represent yourself in the way you represent yourself. There's no right or wrong way to be trans. You are valid. That's about as simple as it gets. I'm gonna wrap up. This was a fun little roller coaster of emotions here, and I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. If you haven't yet during the series, please hit like. Please add comments or DMs if you've got any questions of your own that you would like to add to the grab bag for future episodes, or even just let me know how I'm doing. Share, as always. I've mentioned it numerous times before that my reach can only go as far as it gets to, so if you're hearing this and you hear the word share, please hit the share button on your screen. Connect with your networks. Let other people know about this series. There are some really exciting things coming up that I can't wait to share. This type of series, some fun, exciting stuff. I don't know, I can go on and on and on. Earlier I mentioned in the description of 2 fundraisers, $1,411 is the target for both. One's for Run for Women and one is for Walk for MD, so please contribute accordingly. Get a tax receipt for whatever dollar amount you choose to put in there. As I mentioned at the top, Canadians desperately need your help, so this will help give them the support that they need accordingly for the programs that you choose to support, if not both, of course. And remember, in the description too, there's a call to action that's on a link hosted by New Mode, and that is encouraging political leaders to incentivize businesses, organizations, companies in your neighborhood to run at an optimal CSR so that it helps support the individuals in the community. Being able to optimize the CSR helps give the social and ethical representation that gives them a better and safer community to live in. By doing that too, it helps create a better quality of living in the neighborhood and the community as well. Please make sure to jump in there. It takes less than a minute. Name, email address, postal code, pre-made letters already designed, so hit send. It goes to the elected officials in your area, city, provincial, and federal, and it also goes to the mayors of Winnipeg and Toronto for every single submission that's made. Please do it. You can do it up to 3 times a day as well, so let's just make sure to get that voice heard there. Let's wrap up. This was a fun series of questions. Super dynamic. Can't ask for much more than that. So please make sure to get ready for the next episode. Stay tuned, as I mentioned, also for some super exciting news, so keep your eyes on the channel. And for now, have a great night. Have a great rest of your week, as always.